Welcome to Cool Talk. The countdown continues on my favorite films. Fatal Attraction. Michael Douglas plays a lawyer whose wife goes away for the weekend, so he spends the night with a woman who then wants another night. He says no, and she goes berserk. The film begins with squirm-inducing sexual politics and real drama, but unfortunately ends with typical horror film tricks. Too bad, but nevertheless, the acting is great. When Shakespeare said hell has no fury like a woman scorned, he probably had Glenn Close in mind. Eyes Wide Shut. Now here, director Stanley Kubrick is trying to tell us something about the battle of the sexes. The male ego is so weak that when Nicole Kidman as the wife expresses just the possibility of even thinking of cheating, it shakes up her husband Tom Cruise so much that he ventures out seeking adventure and sexual revenge. Never mind people talking about Illuminati symbols in the background or the use of colors. The story here is that couples don't really know each other as they think they do, and the sexual escapades are dangerous, even deadly. Crocodile Dundee. Paul Hogan plays Mick Dundee, an Australian from the outback who goes to New York and finds love. It's a typical fish out of water story, but with a lot of whimsical charm. Hogan has a laid-back style, best expressed when he asks somebody, "What day is it?" And the other character says, he doesn't know what day it is, and he doesn't care. Lucky bastard. Year of the Dragon. Mickey Rourke plays Stanley White, a racist cop trying to break up the gangsters in Chinatown, led by Joey Tai, the new Triad Don. Joey Tai is in control, but Stanley White is out of control. He bullies everybody to his will. When Mickey Rourke breaks down at the funeral of somebody close to him, he is emotionally devastated, and it shows. A great performance. Father of the Bride. Steve Martin's character hears that his daughter is getting married. He says it's the news that he had been dreading for the last 22 years. Daddy's little girl is going away. It's enjoyable and light. Silly antics ensue, but it proves that sometimes simple is best. The Jerk. A white man raised by black sharecroppers and never realizing he was adopted. It's one of those pre-Jim Carrey films with the same stupidity that you'll either love or find annoying as hell. I loved it. Stay away from the cans! Kramer versus Kramer. A divorced couple fight over custody of their child, the family unit being destroyed. Justin Henry as a little boy was a natural actor at 9 years old. Even had me tearing up in one scene. It's a real tearjerker. The Wanderers, a gang of Italian Americans in 1963 who do nothing but fight and hang around street corners posing in leather. Kind of cartoony, it's over the top and funny. My best part was when a mafia captain stares at the frightened young man who got his daughter pregnant and says, "Listen, I had my fun with a lot of girls in my time, but I never did it with nobody's daughter. If you can find it, catch it. It's a hoot." The Deer Hunter, a 3-hour epic about blue-collar steel workers who go off to fight the Vietnam War. They come back full of rage, confusion, and displacement. The Russian roulette scene is one of the most suspenseful film moments that I can remember. It all ends appropriately in a patriotic move that, despite feeling the country has let them down, is an ambitious film on a grand scale. Midnight Express. Let me just say that I do feel that the film merits the accusations of racism that was thrown at it, and I wish they wouldn't have made the hero such a naive innocent. Nevertheless, it's a tremendous story. Mostly true. Billy Hayes is picked up at the airport in Turkey trying to smuggle out hash and eventually gets a 30-year sentence and then escapes. It's harrowing, and up to that time I had never seen a film so dramatically express the loneliness that prison can inflict on a person, and also expose the abuse that incarceration can bring. Beautifully shot and holds the last great performance by Brad Davis. Annie Hall, one of Woody Allen's best and most observant comedies of a couple who grows apart. It states that it's our own neurotic, insecure behavior that destroys our chances for happiness. Woody Allen uses every weapon for a laugh. Animation, split screen, slapstick. He is a master at work here, charming and timeless. Shudder Island. A detective investigates the disappearance of an inmate at a prison psychiatric ward. Events from his past haunt him as he uncovers layer after layer of evidence, leading up to an unexpected revelation. Some criticized the Holocaust scenes and felt that the ending was too neat. But director Martin Scorsese handles the complicated narrative expertly as we begin to distrust the reality of what we're seeing. Leonardo DiCaprio is riveting, not one dull moment. The Dualist. Two French soldiers in the 18th century have an argument that leads to a series of duels that last over 20 years. And it's a true story. This is director Ridley Scott's first film, and it's a visual marvel. No CGI back in 1978. Beautiful cinematography, the start of a great career. Carrie. Sissy Spacek impresses as Carrie, a high schooler bullied at school by classmates and abused at home by her religious fanatic mother, until she finally snaps and strikes back with telekinetic powers. Brian De Palma uses Hitchcock techniques by letting you know what's coming and then terrifying you with the anticipation. And since it's about an insecure high school student, we can all identify with the character, based on the novel by Stephen King. Butch, Cassidy, and the Sundance Kid. I saw this movie when I was very young in a ghetto theater in Dominican Republic. And when it ended, the audience hated the ending so much they threw popcorn and Coke bottles at the screen. But I liked it. An odd action comedy with the excellent pairing of Paul Newman and Robert Redford as two bandits on the run in the Old West. They constantly joke and one-up each other, and I'll admit that their banter can get tiring, but it's always entertaining. It was the first buddy film. Young Frankenstein. Mel Brooks directs this story about Dr. Frankenstein's grandson. The film is in black and white to make it appear like the original. Brooks demonstrates a more disciplined hand on this comedy than on his earlier films. The cast is great, especially the late Gene Wilder, but Peter Boyle is a revelation as the monster, showing menace yet sadness at the same time. Many of you young people know him as the father on the TV show Everybody Loves Raymond. Both he and Gene Wilder will be missed. The Bicycle Thief. Directed by Vittorio De Sica, filmed in post-war Italy with non-actors in what was then called neo-realism. It's amazing how powerful this simple story is. A man and his son search for his stolen bicycle, which he really needs for his job. It is gripping because we sense the poverty and the despair. We walk with this father and son every step of the way. The film is intimate, yet it's also a social statement without being preachy. Sad, yet full of hope. It is one of the best films you could ever see. Period. Fiddler on the Roof. I'm not big on musicals, but this is irresistible. We follow actor Topol as Tevi, a poor man in a small Jewish village that is being overrun by the Russians. The songs and the folksy humor reaffirms our belief in family values and decency. Patton. This World War II movie is filmed on a grand scale, but is tied to the outstanding performance of George C. Scott, playing General Patton, a complex and controversial man, a man who could sacrifice all for self-aggrandizement, but was really a romantic at heart. A military genius. It's an anti-war movie about a man who loved war. George C. Scott won the Oscar for this role, but since he did not believe in actors competing with each other, he didn't go to the ceremony, and he never picked up his award. Midnight Cowboy, the only X-rated movie to win an Oscar. Now, this was back when X meant adult, not pornography. Today, it's even shown on local television. Times have changed. A dying homeless wino and a dim-witted gigolo cowboy in old 1968's New York City trying to make ends meet. It's about how most of us can get stuck in self-destructive roles and how these roles make us follow silly decisions that affect the rest of our lives. Today, the film is artsy and dated, but it still holds together because of the outstanding performances of Jon Voight and Dustin Hoffman. Voight is genuine, sincere, and without malice. Hoffman is resentful, bitter, and repulsive, but he wins us over, and together they are electric. Well, tell me what you think. Or better yet, click on the playlist and continue watching my videos of my favorite films of all time. This is Cool Talk.